Hey friends, what is up? I'm so sorry I've been gone for about a week. Really isn't that long, but I do try and post every week, you know what I mean? This video I've honestly been putting off, and I had requests to do this and a lot of people keep requesting, so I just want to give the people what they want, you know? So today I just want to basically talk about my experiences with anxiety and depression. And of course, with any video like this, I'm gonna have to give my disclaimers. The first one being that this video is not meant to diagnose anybody nor myself. And if you have any questions about your mental health, YouTube is not the source and social media is not the source to tell you whether you have something or not. Everyone is different, is gonna experience different things. So please seek a professional. All right, yeah, so that's the first disclaimer. Second one is that I do not have any diagnosis with anxiety or depression, and that's actually kind of why I wanted to make this video, because I think that a lot of people nowadays, they do want to discuss mental health and anxiety and depression, and that's really amazing, but I think it's important not to self-diagnose, and I know for certainty that I do not have clinical depression. Anxiety, it's possible, but it's never been something that is debilitating, and that is a really big thing that I want to mention, is that anxiety and depression are really large spectrums. So you have people on this side of the spectrum that they are very severe and it's a very debilitating mental illness for them, and you have this side of the spectrum that perhaps it comes in certain stressful situations, or they're able to cope much easier than the person over here, and then you have people all the way in the middle. So whether or not you have a diagnosis or not, this can be relevant. I'm going to share my experiences, but I'm really not going to tell you what is right or wrong, because there's no such thing. And like I said, I suggest that if you're ever struggling with something, that you do seek medical help or like therapeutic help, like go to a session, find yourself a therapist, because that's ultimately going to benefit you the most. Friends and family can only do so much, and if those resources are not helping you, you're gonna want to do a little bit more. So the reason why I had kind of disappeared was I was just having a really bad week dealing with some family matters, which I'm not going to get into, because if something doesn't just involve me, I have no right to put everyone else out there, you know what I mean? But it was very stressful for me. My MCAT studying has really taken a back seat, and I really want to basically take the exam in April, but I just don't know if that's feasible at this moment. So a lot of stresses have come in and out of my life, and it's just been, you know, it gets rough. And ultimately, I think I'm a very level-headed person, so I'm more anxious than depressive, definitely. So growing up, I'll kind of talk about that. Growing up, my anxiety was much worse. I'm talking like I had to ask my brother to call places just to ask a question, or if I was in a Walmart or something, like I did not want to ask an employee for help, even though like that's what they're there for. I just got so nervous asking questions. Basically confrontation just did not sit well with me. And yeah, and so growing up, like if someone yelled at me, really punishment didn't need to happen, because you being upset with me would already cause me to cry and get nervous, and that's just the kind of person that I was. And getting older, I was able to cope with that much better. But to this day, if I get scolded by anybody, I'm gonna get tears in my eyes, but I'm old enough to not just bawl my eyes out. Like, it's honestly not even something I think about, it just happens. And my anxiety comes more from social settings. So a lot of times if I'm gonna meet new people, go out, in the back of my mind, I always have the thought like, you should just stay home, make up an excuse why you can't go. Like, I don't know, I just don't like to go to those things, and that's why I never really went to parties. I didn't, and if I did, I literally was that person who was in the corner, and I felt so uncomfortable. I just don't like that. On the other hand though, if I meet new people, I'm not super like shy and in my shell. I'll be outgoing and I can have a conversation, but I don't know what it is. Like big groups of people, I just don't stand out in them. It's just always how I've been. So those were always stressful situations, or like I said, confrontation. So for example, I went to the gym once, like, I don't know, it was a few months ago, and I was working out and I was doing an upright row. So that's when you have like the barbell in front of you and you're just bringing it up. This is not the correct form, but I'm sitting, so it's hard to show, but you know what an upright row is, or look it up, you know? And this guy comes up to me and he's like, you're doing it wrong, this is how you should do it, like you should bring higher and like this and whatever. And like honestly, I'm just one of those people, like I think that everyone has work to do, especially on their form. So I think the best way to do it, if you truly love telling people what to do, you have two options. Become a personal trainer and have your own clients, or if you desperately want to help someone, just ask them if they want the help. And then if they say no, move on. But this person just, you know, gave me their advice, and I'm not normally like rude, actually ever. So I just kind of was like, oh, okay, thank you, whatever. And the person took the weight from me and starts repping it out, showing me what to do. And this is when I start to get very anxious, because now people are looking, people are kind of like what's going on, and you know, no one's obviously gonna stand up for me because they don't know the context and they don't know if I'm uncomfortable, if I want it, if I know him. And I'm getting so uncomfortable. People are just side-eyeing me and him, and then he's like, do it now. He hands me the barbell and he's like, do it. And I'm just like put on the spot, and I don't even know this man, and I'm going to the gym to get out of my own head, not to go through this. So I do it, and he pulls it away from me again, and he's like, no, do it like this, whatever. And then he gives it back, and then he leaves. But I couldn't even finish that workout. I felt like everyone was looking at me, even if they weren't. I just started, like, I couldn't breathe. I had to go to the locker room, and I just cried. And that's like a lot of times how my anxiety comes out personally. It's not so much of panic attacks. It's like medium. It's very mild, you know, the shortness of breath and kind of like hyperventilating, but it's mostly due to the crying. And that's like just how my anxiety comes out. So it was just a really stressful time. And of course you hear this and people are like, grow up and whatever, but I really feel like that's why I wanted to talk about my experiences, because I think anxiety and depression are very glamorized in the media. So you see someone with anxiety and they're sitting in a crowd and they're having a panic attack and you feel so bad and it's so debilitating, but sometimes it's just induced by stress or confrontation for different people, more so for me, I can say. And like, I can't really help that. And I know that a lot of people will just say you're sensitive, and yeah, like I am, you're right, but it doesn't really invalidate my feelings and how I act, because I don't consciously think of these reactions. And a lot of reasons why that I am a pushover is because of my anxiety. I don't like confrontation. So if someone's rude or says something to me, I can't get the words out because either I'm gonna cry or because I'm so shocked and frozen in the moment. And that's really not good. And I have gotten better, and I'm not put in many situations like this, thankfully, but it certainly does happen. And I have been walked all over pretty much my whole life because of this. Like, people know I'm not gonna really do much. I'm like a softie, and it just feels like I can't. Not that I don't want to, of course. Afterwards, I'm like, I should have said this and this and this, and like you just think of all these things, and I just couldn't. Like, I can't do that in a lot of situations. And that's personally how my anxiety takes place, but yours may be very different. And I'm just sharing mine because maybe like I'm not alone and like yours is exactly the same. But if yours is different, just know that it's valid. And again, mine is not as debilitating as many people do go through. So I recommend that if yours is debilitating, that you will randomly get these episodes, or that the episodes that you do get, even if they're induced by stress or confrontation, that you cannot calm yourself down, and that it's very crippling for you, that you do seek help. And there's nothing wrong with that, and it's really important to build these skills. For me, I am able to calm myself down eventually. I just kind of realize that this is a very in the moment thing, and that this isn't going to last forever, right? So that guy, he walks away, he does his own thing, and I never really see him again, thankfully. And that moment was such a small part in my life. And even though in the moment I felt so big, I felt so embarrassed and so ridiculed, like, it's over. Another experience I had really quick with anxiety is that just recently, this is another reason why last week I just didn't film, is because my car, like, I got stuck in traffic because I drive manual, so I drive stick shift. And I went to go and my car kind of like shut off, and I'm like, I thought I stalled out. Well, I heard a huge like bang and I couldn't move. Like, no matter what gear I put it in, I couldn't move. So I'm on like a very busy street, and I literally just panic. I am hyperventilating, I'm crying because I'm stuck in the middle of the road and people are honking. And I mean, like, I don't want to say the street because like I'm not gonna say too specifically of where I live. I don't live on the street, but still, safety first. So it's just a very busy street. Like, just trust me, the street is like 50 miles per hour. It's not even a highway. So it's a busy street and I get stuck in the middle of it and people are pissed because it's like a turning. Thankfully, there's another one next to me that you can also turn. But honestly, it was so bad. And then people were almost getting into accidents trying to get around me and I just was breaking down. But again, that's just a moment in my life. And now I have my car, it's fixed. The clutch screws, like the screws holding my clutch together, came loose, so that's what happened. So just a very small moment in my life that I just have to remind myself that will pass. And in the moment, it feels so big and it feels like you're never gonna get out of it, but it will. It'll pass and you'll make it through. As for depression, this one is more so for me personally. Again, I do not have clinical depression, and anxiety-wise, I would say I'm somewhere on the lower range. Like, it is often for me and I've gotten better, but it's just not debilitating and it's not crippling, so I don't want to dramatize it and put it all the way up here. But depression, I would say, is even lower. My depression, if I experience it, is a buildup of issues because I'm the type of person that I really do care more about others than I care about myself. And that's not always a bad thing, you know? Like, I will always take pride in being a good person, and yeah, I should focus on my own issues and be more selfish, but that's just not who I am. It's not my character. And I do have to get better at that because if you want to be successful in life, you have to take care of yourself first. And there's levels. I know my boundaries. As I get older, I do not let people walk all over me as much as I have. I still do. Honestly, people can say something to me and I'm kind of like, okay, like I just don't react. And sometimes I think that's best. I have never gotten in any arguments with any friends I've had. Probably like, I mean, of course, elementary school or maybe middle school. But since the age of like 15, 16, I would say I've never, because I'm very selective with my friends and the way I interact is just like, whatever, if you're bothered by something, you're bothered, but I just don't experience that. And if I have something in my family life or relationship wise, I just squash it. Now, I'm not the best at that, honestly. I kind of am stubborn. Like, if I'm upset, I want to remain upset in a sense, but that's just something that I'm working on because I am a very good communicator. But I would say that if something brushes me the wrong way, I'm going to be brushed the wrong way until I get over that issue. I'm not really someone that if someone comes to me and we talk it out, that I'm over it. I kind of have to get over it myself because I spent so long always just keeping everything that bothered me on the inside, and then I would just resolve it myself. So if someone is like, oh, this made you upset, I'm sorry about it, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, that's fine, no problem. Instead, I'm like, okay, like, I get it, but I'm still like upset, and maybe I won't say that. I'll just figure it out on my own time. I don't know. But anyways, back to what I'm saying is that I bottle a lot of things up. So depression for me usually comes when I do that for too long. So the first instance I definitely had was my junior year of high school. So I did the IB program, which is the International Baccalaureate program. And it's just basically like very advanced classes that when you graduate, you're able to take exams and get college credit. So when I left high school, with the exams that I took, I already had a year done of college, and that's why I got my bachelor's done in 3 years. It wasn't like I rushed it or anything, it's just the way it happened. And it was all my electives, really. They're not any classes that were relevant to my biology degree, but it was still pretty cool. And I'm thankful for it now, I suppose. But I know that when I finished, I was so happy to be done. It just was something that honestly took so much out of me. I mean, now if I did it, I'd probably say it was easy, but I mean, like, as a 14 to 17-year-old all through high school, it's a lot. It's just a lot. And junior year was my hardest year personally, and I don't know why that is. I guess the coursework was just very different than my sophomore year, and I was genuinely depressed. I did not want to do anything. and I really wanted to quit, and I was really close to quitting, but I'm one of those people that I don't like to quit. I'm very competitive, so I just stayed in it, and I'm glad I did. Senior year was so much better, and I really just learned how to, I don't know, manage my schoolwork, but it was really rough. And then again, recently experiencing depression, more so with the family things that I've been going through for the past year. And those, again, I will not go into, but it's just like, all I'll say, it's hard because I really do try to take care of the people in my life, especially family-wise. And for that reason, it backfires because I'm not taking care of myself at the end of the day. You know, I'm not saying, okay, I'm glad I helped you, but now it's my turn to worry about myself. Instead, it's just go, go, go. Oh, you need me to do this? You need me to pick this up? You want me to get this for you? You want me to do this? And I'm running around all the time. And then I haven't studied, right? And I haven't done anything except like maybe work. And I'm just kind of like, you know, this is not beneficial. And then I start getting stressed because I have things I do need to do for myself, and I'm not doing them because I'm taking care of others. And so that's another thing, is like the depression is induced by social issues, and that's normal. You know what, people, you can be anxious and you can be depressed and not have anxiety or depression. And I guess that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I think a lot of people will either go on the spectrum of, oh no, it's not anxiety and it's not depression because I don't have that. You can still be that and you don't have it. It's okay. And it's usually induced by our environmental situations, like where we are at the time in our life. What can we do, right? And it's about how you cope with those things. And personally, I just really remind myself that this is right now. Like I mentioned, both anxiety and depression wise, this is right now. This is in the moment. And tomorrow or next week or next year is going to be different. It may not be better, but it'll be different. And that's really important to keep in mind. Another thing is it's okay to be selfish, and it's okay to also be honest with yourself. Do not be that person who rejects help because you find it embarrassing. We all need help sometimes, whether it's small or big, and the more you put it off, the more debilitating it'll be later in your life, because you're gonna have to pick up all the pieces you didn't pick over all these years. So yeah. This is kind of hefty talk here, but I just want to let you all know that you're not alone. You may not relate to me, and I may not relate to you entirely, but I'm sure we have a common denominator. And whatever that may be, you're not alone, and there's gonna be someone who also understands you. And I recommend seeking help. So I'll leave resources in the description. There's a website called BetterHelp. A lot of YouTubers got sponsored by this company. I didn't, of course, but I just saw it and I felt like it was really great. It's basically a service that you could do like Skype calls or just like, I think, messages online, so you don't have to go in person, and it's a really affordable resource if you don't have insurance, especially. Like, I want to say I know it's less than 100 per week, or like, I don't really remember. I'm gonna leave the website down below. I remember I looked into it and recommended it to another subscriber who reached out to me. So I'm gonna leave that. And I'm also gonna leave down below the suicide hotline, because at the end of the day, no one is too good for that hotline. If you're having depressive thoughts, you need to reach out if you're thinking about harming yourself in any way, because like I said, this is in the moment, and the next day may not be perfect, but it's worth trying to sort out, you know? And always know that I am here for you guys. Use my DMs on Instagram for things like this, but I'm also not a therapist. So if you ever want advice, or you ever want to just be like, hey, I'm sad, like, you can always reach out. But if you want to harm yourself, or if you are in a very dark space, please seek professional help, because I cannot be responsible for your life, obviously. But yeah, I really hope that you guys understand that anxiety and depression comes in a lot of forms, diagnosed or not. Get a diagnosis if you're not sure, or if you're considering it, and put yourself first. It's okay to do so, and I know so many people, it's very hard to do. I know for a lot of people, you're taking care of family members, you're taking care of loved ones, and it's hard to be selfish. And you know what, being selfless is something I take pride in, but you also have to know when there is a time to say, I have to do this for me, and find those times. Wake up earlier if you want to go to the gym, or if you want to just meditate, and go to bed earlier, you know, like, just put it in your schedule to make time for yourself, even if you have to make a little sacrifice here and there. You're never too good for professional help. And also know that you may not like the first person you get as a therapist, but you owe it to yourself to give it a try. if you really feel like this is what you need. And if you're honest with yourself, you will know if it's what you need. So I really hope this talk kind of helped you feel like, yeah, I go through things and you go through things and it's not so crazy, but it's pretty normal. You know what? People are gonna call me a crybaby for sure. And people are gonna say, get over it, you know, like it's a new day tomorrow. And I know I'm kind of saying that in a way, but it's not about getting over it. You don't have to get over it. You can still be sad about it and you can still be anxious and you could still be worried, but you can move forward in your life. It's just baby steps and you owe it to yourself to try. So I hope this talk kind of helped, and I really missed you guys. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and thank you for always being so supportive. Your love never goes unnoticed, genuinely. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video.
I'm on my own fight, I'm on my own fight. For what the song say, I want a young say. I come a long way, I come my own